the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for October 2nd. Well, here we are in the wide world of the tropics, and we have 4 systems active. Hurricane Sam, which is still a Category 4 at over 30 degrees north. Victor, which is starting to lose organization in the eastern Atlantic. Shaheen-Gulab, which is now a Category 1 as it poses a threat to Oman. And Mindulle, which is now an extratropical system with winds of around 75 miles an hour. It's day 124 of Atlantic hurricane season, and there's only 2 systems active here. Sam, a Cat 4, which is finally expected to begin weakening soon. Victor, which is losing organization and is expected to start weakening starting tonight and into tomorrow. In the Eastern Pacific, it's day 140 of the season there, and we have that area of interest that we've been monitoring, a 40% chance of formation still. It's expected to continue moving westward where it could cross into the Central Pacific. Whether it will form remains to be seen. The chances have been remaining pretty steady, so there doesn't seem to be more than a 40% chance of development at all. In the Western Pacific, we have Mindulle, which is now extratropical and racing off northeastwards. There's also 92W with a 30% chance of development, and another area of interest behind that could potentially form in about 5 or 6 days. In the North Indian Ocean, we have Tropical Cyclone Shaheen-Gulab, Shaheen for Oman there, and it is expected to intensify just a tad more before some weakening occurs before it makes landfall in Oman in the next 24 to 36 hours there, so that is something that we're monitoring with that. In the Atlantic, here's the satellite imagery that we're looking out for. You can see Sam as it continues to look pretty impressive for how far north it is, although it is starting to look a little less defined in the more recent satellite imagery. Some indications that it might finally be on the decline in terms of its wind speed. In the Eastern Pacific, you can see what's going on, and not really much besides that disturbance that looks rather disorganized in terms of its entirety there. It is expected to move westwards. Whether it will form, it remains to be a question that will be asked. And of course, if you look in the Western Pacific, you can see Mindulle racing off there, and 92W, which is starting to look more pronounced, but mainly just showers and thunderstorms at the moment. Nothing really else to say about this specific invest. Moving on over to the Northern Indian Ocean satellite imagery that will be popping up shortly, but you will be able to see Shaheen-Gulab there. And needless to say, it's pretty good for a September tropical cyclone in this region. Or no, it's October now. Never mind, I can't exactly say that. Now we're in early October. Still getting to me since it's still the first here. But you can see that it's looking pretty good, although the eye is oddly placed there due to land interaction. And of course you can see Sam here, Category 4 still. Really impressive with how it's been holding up. By far the highest ace producing storm that we've seen since 2016 this late in the season, so definitely a to see with Sam here. Here are the sea surface temperatures in the Eastern Pacific, and you can see what's going on here. 29 to 30 degrees Celsius temperatures in the eastern part of the basin, while the temperatures decline as you head westwards. In the Atlantic, you can see what's going on here. 28 to 29 in the Gulf of Mexico, 29 to 30 in the Caribbean, 28 to 29 in the Caribbean, and 29 to 30 as you head into the portions of the main development region. Those 30 degrees Celsius temperatures are more in the western and 29 in the central part. Of course, as you head into the North Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal is seeing more of those temperatures around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. And as you head into the Arabian Sea, especially where Shaheen or Shaheen-Gulab is, that's around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius as well. In the Western Pacific, you can see what's going on here, around 29 to 30 degrees Celsius for majority of the basin, although there's a dent in those sea surface temperatures around where Mindulle tracked over, where those temperatures are around 27 instead. And then of course, as you head into the southern hemisphere, those temperatures are a bit cooler, 27 to 25 as you head southward. Here are the sea surface temperature anomalies. You can still see that La Nina developing. Mindulle's temperatures are, well, the sea surface temperatures along with Mindulle are beginning to decline, and of course Atlantic satellite imagery can start to see the impacts that Sam is having on there. Central Pacific, of course, looking below average as well. On this day in 2014, we had Typhoon Fan, one of the many notable fan phones we've had, of course, with 2019 becoming notable as well. It would eventually reach another secondary peak of Category 4 strength, And then of course we also had Tropical Storm Simon in the Eastern Pacific, and that was pretty much what we had on this day. 2019 Phantom will become more notable. Of course, 2014's Phantom had its own impacts. Of course, you can find more on that storm with our On This Day Twitter account at Cyclone History. You can find it on the bottom bar below. And that brings us over to the next names. In the Atlantic, the final name on the list is Wanda before we start with the auxiliary, starting with Adria. In the Eastern Pacific, we're looking out for Pamela and Rick. And in the Central Pacific, while you can race anywhere, anytime with Mario Kart 8, the race is on whether the area of interest will become Hone. Moving on over to the Western Pacific, the next name is Lion Rock, followed by Kompasu. And in the North Indian Ocean, we're now looking out for Jawad, followed by Asani. Two names that we hopefully should not be seeing anytime soon with how active the basin has been in recent weeks. Looking out in the southwestern Indian Ocean, the next name is Anna, followed by Batsirai. In the Australian region, we're looking out for Patty and Ruby. And in the South Pacific, we're looking out for Cody. We'll be back with another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night.